Weird Harold here on Weirdo's Tattoo, just south of Kansas City in Belton. About to jam on my bro, Black Magic. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, so Harold decided it would be a good idea to tattoo me while we did this. And so somehow now I'm getting my armpit tattoo, or ditch, whatever it is. This freaking spot of your arm that hurts really bad that I didn't want to get tattooed.
I hate it. I hate it.
Actually here, real quick for you. Make sure this is all right. I'll push this down just a little.
Like I said, if you feel like you need, if you're saying something and you get into a heat, you get in the heat, then we'll just redo it whenever we're out of the heat.
Well, no, we're rolling now. Like this, there's no stopping. There's no editing in Black Magic TV. We just go, baby. There's no heat.
Okay.
The heat. I'm in the fucking hot seat already, bud, because I came here and I fucking told you I didn't want this, and then you go, oh no, this would be really cool, man.
You fool.
Fool me twice.
Yeah, trick
Shame
them.
on me. This is the other fool one time. Hey, this would be real funny to tattoo on my hand at a convention. Yeah, it would. Made me sit down and get it done. I also have shunned off tattoos for like the last 2 years.
Hasn't been tattooed. This is the first time in a long time.
Well, I guess we'll get into it. So you and I have known each other quite a while.
Quite a long time. We've had a hell of a run.
Hell of a run. Why don't you tell everybody where you grew up at, Harold?
I was born in Amarillo, Texas. We left there whenever I was probably like 5 or 6. And then we moved to Central Kansas. I graduated in a town called Great Bend. And man, it was a kind of a nowhere town for me. Doing a lot of drugs. Found out I was having a kid and just had to get out of there. Came to Kansas City doing my tattoo apprenticeship in '99 and haven't looked back.
Now I know that your mom and dad were both around.
Yes.
And your dad was a biker.
My dad was a little bit of everything. He's a truck driver. He's a cowboy. Whenever I turned 13, he joined a motorcycle club. Just got to do a lot of running around the country. We used to do swap meets and motorcycle rallies. My dad did upholstery, did leather repair. We sewed patches on.
Okay.
So he's kind of been. He was
a hustler. Kind of a hustler.
Good. Kind of a hillbilly genius.
Now your parents, they were always out there. After you guys left Texas, they stayed in Kansas, right?
Yes.
And now are they both passed now, or is your mom still alive?
My mom's still alive. My father passed in '09. He was fire chief when he passed. 63 years old, and was fighting a fire whenever he had his heart issue,
and that's how she went.
Yep.
What did your mom do, Harold? Did she?
My mom used to be a hairdresser, and then like when I was in high school, she worked at the infirmary as well as like the elderly department of the convent.
Okay.
So that was wild. She used to go to work with her Easy Rider lunch pail, and
because your mom was also a biker.
Very much.
Because
very much rode for years.
We put the fender off your mom's Sportster on my Ironhead chopper.
Yep. Boy, that Ironhead.
Somebody knows where it's at.
that green seat that's on old Davy's bike now. I mean that
the old green seat.
Dude,
the Green Goblin's been around. The Green Goblin seat.
So
There's a seat that's like, it's like a Cobra seat, but it's diamond stitched, but it's the most putrid color of like puke lime green that you'd ever seen, and it we've passed it back and forth between like 4 of us, and nobody's ever sold it. It's always been
or
like
reupholstered it. I mean, if any normal person had it, the first
no,
thing
the
they do
first
is
thing they
rip
do
it
is
apart and do
recover
it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a wild. That seat's been around. Davy's had it for a long time. He's sort of been the caretaker of it always.
I know that seat's seen more ass than you and me put together.
Oh. And everyone we know. When you came to town, what year was that?
99.
99.
I started out. It was a pretty wild little beginning. I started out. I did 3 weeks in Wellington, Kansas, is where I started my apprenticeship. And the guy I started it with, his name's Lancey Lowe.
Lancey Lowe?
Lowe, yeah. Lough.
But his first name is Lancey.
Yeah. His name was Lancey. His brother's name was Yancey.
Was there a Clancy?
Pretty good. So, whenever I hooked up with him for an apprenticeship, he already had plans of coming here to Kansas City and reopening a shop on 68th and Prospect called Fat City. And so I did 3 weeks in Wellington, and we packed up his house and his shop. Went and did the 99 Fine Line Tattoo Convention in 99.
Oh man, I remember that. The Fine Line.
We unloaded that trailer, just unloaded his tattoo equipment, did that convention, and then literally threw it back in the trailer and came to Kansas City, pulled up on 68th and Prospect, and you know, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who don't know anything about Great Bend, Kansas, but it's almost dead center in the middle of Kansas. So it's a corn-fed, wheat-bread kind of town. So to go from that and then step out of a minivan on the 68th and Prospect was a real culture shock.
Real eye-opener, right?
Yeah.
Like real different, total different, a world you didn't know existed.
Well, I mean, even just being in the city alone is just like a
But at that time, that part
overload.
of Prospect would have been sort of like, that wasn't the best part of town.
No,
you know what I
you
mean?
didn't.
And in 99 was a pretty, that time frame was like a pretty, there was a lot of shit going down in this city, which there always is, but.
Yeah, that was about the time that like the gangs.
That would have been when
they like worked together.
Well, yeah, because the drug
it was
cards.
about money.
I just listened to a whole thing about this. Right, the gangs were working together, but it was also because like the drug cartels were starting to come in then, and they were trying to take over cities, right? So they were pushing out black and like Asian gangs.
Really.
And taking over which is why like street gangs, as we grew up with, aren't as prominent anymore because they were pushed out by like, that's why you see like a lot of MS-13 stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. I never thought about it that way. You know what I mean?
Well, and you know, and I always got down there and kind of stayed in my own lane. Really, I had a lot of good growing up there. I mean, a lot of good lessons. One of the first times I moved out here to the burbs after there, I was tattooing in the shop, and I had this big redneck drunk dude, and he was a big old sumbitch, missing teeth, man. He was probably half drunk, and, you know, he comes in and starts kind of trying to bully me around, and you're going to tattoo me, and I'm like, homie, I'm not going to tattoo you, and he's like, well, I'll kick your ass, and man, I remember looking that dude right in the eyes and just telling him, dude, I've had my ass whooped by bigger, uglier motherfuckers than you, come on.
Yeah.
And he kind of backed down a little, and I'm not a tough guy. I'm not a tough guy, but I also won't be pushed around, and if it takes a good country ass whooping, i.e. me taking a good country ass whooping,
right?
To prove it,
Yeah,
I'll take my ass whooping,
yeah.
You know.
Right. You and I share the art of running our mouths, but also willing to accept the consequence of it.
Sure. And you know how it is. You run your mouth right, you won't have no problem.
And generally, when and then those people that you, more often than not, the people you fight with become your friends in situations
Absolutely.
like that.
Absolutely.
Because it's like you kind of recognize, oh, like this is a real ass dude recognizing a real ass dude right now.
Right, and that's been the one.
And
thing
not
about,
real as in like tough guy, but real in the sense like, oh, this is just an honest individual that's gonna is shooting me straight right now.
Yep. And that's the thing about me and you is like, man, I'm still waiting for our fight.
Oh yeah, it never happened.
Not yet.
Maybe after today with this bullshit.
I was gonna say this might actually be the fight right here.
This is it right here. This is as bad as she gets. I don't fucking fight no more, man. I've been through enough shit. So, well, we'll keep going with the tattoo shit first. But so, how long were you at Fat City then? So, I mean, not to make anything about race, but you went from 3 weeks deep into an apprenticeship in a redneck ass fucking meth town.
Yes.
To the only people walking in the door are predominantly African American.
Not predominantly,
all of them. And so you went from like. Now I've asked you this before, but that's why the black and gray shit is stuck with you, right? Like you did a lot of all black tattoos in the beginning. Have you ever thought about that?
It definitely played a role, you know. One of the things about tattooing is I don't believe in styles. I mean, when I started tattooing, there wasn't even internet in shops,
right.
You know. So it was just such a different world, and man, I remember when I come out here to the burbs, I got a job, and I was it was the night before I started, and I was up freaking out all night. Freaking out because I'm like, man, I don't even know if I can tattoo white skin.
Right.
Like, I don't even know if I can. It'd been so long.
And that was, so did you stay at Fat City until you went to the burbs?
Yes.
And now when you say go to the burbs, is that coming out here to Belton?
Out here to Belton.
Shop where you were working when you and I met?
Yep. I've been in Belton Raymore area for since 2001.
So we would have met in like
we met
03, 04,
04,
05 maybe 2005.
God, this is like giving up age right there.
Yeah. Oh, you're old as fuck, dog.
Dude, I'm an old man.
You were old when I met you.
Shit, yeah.
I was thinking about you talking about how the first time we met, and you were talking about how you were like, how I just was like, yeah, let's put this fucking pipe on your car. But you forget the part where you spent like 45 minutes shit talking this tattoo on my hand had just gotten done in a kitchen, and Harold spent 45 minutes going, you really like that? It's a piece of shit. And then I was like, well, yeah, but look at this dumbass exhaust you want welded on your car. But then I welded that exhaust because he said, I'll fix them tattoos for you.
Yeah. And man, I'm glad.
And that was probably the first tattoos I think you did on me.
Yes.
Was my hands.
Yep. Well, I really dug the concept of what you had going on there. You know, I mean, Easy Rider, baby.
Yeah. Well, and it was also just the outline of that helmet really, like, no offense to my sister, but that was, we were on punk rock shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
DIY. Hey, yeah, I want this tattoo on my hand. And also you were like, are you sure you want me to at that time it was crazy that I had my hands tattooed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and now it's crazy to like not get a face tattoo before you get your hands
these kids
tattooed.
running around look like they fell asleep at a party.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, yes, because it's all just like black line work, not even no shading.
Yeah, it's so
wild.
weird.
It's wild.
Yeah, when I tattooed my face, it was not a cool thing to do. I mean, that was pretty much your rights to, you know, you're a bad guy.
Yeah.
I had a story.
Cool. You're a fucking bad hombre. If you had that was one of those things, like, it was like there's certain tattoos that used to have a heavy meaning to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you were privy to that, like, it was like out of respect you didn't get that. And I think a lot of that's probably gone to the wayside in America at least.
You see that with spider webs on elbows. You see it with teardrops on eyes. All those things, you know, they definitely held a different meaning.
Yeah, when I was a teenager and in my 20s, if I saw a dude with a fucking teardrop on his tattoo, I reckoned I wasn't gonna fuck with that guy too hard.
That's a nice tattoo. Funny story about my face. I got my face done, and we went to a car show, and I was with my dad.
You're still at Fat City at this time?
Nah, I'd come out here to Belton.
And you were running a shop. You basically went to work at a shop where the guy was a piercer and owned it.
That was before this.
Okay. It was a different shop out here.
So we're walking down the street, and this lady's kind of walking faster than us and gets up beside me, and her kid's right beside me. And, you know, she, like, turned and looked at me, and when she seen me, she jerked her kid over to the other side of her, and man, it made me mad. It hurt my feelings for the kid, because I'm like, you know, now this kid's got some notion about people are bad with face tattoos or something. So I looked at her and I'm like, yeah, get him away, because this stuff rubs off. And you know, well, we got back home and my dad pulled me aside. And he said, son, I want to talk to you. I said, what's up? And he goes, you chose to do that to your face, right? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, I really don't like how you reacted to that lady. I'm like, well, did you see what she did? And he said, I didn't say she was right. But all you did was perpetuate her feelings by reacting to her like that.
Right.
And you picked it. You picked it knowing you were going to get these reactions. And man, that I got goosebumps now. Just thinking about that old man.
Yeah.
But
like it's like
I started thinking about that, and I thought about it hard, and then I figured out, man, it's the approach, and I say the same things now. The only difference is whenever they jerk their kids away with that, I look at the mom and I say, "Oh, sweetheart, don't worry, it doesn't rub off."
Yeah, right. But also, it's like that thing of like your dad. You know, obviously the point is like, if you're gonna do some ridiculous ass shit to yourself,
don't get upset.
Don't get upset by somebody's reaction.
By the ridiculous reaction of the people around you.
That's a good lesson in humility, where you're gonna learn to laugh at yourself.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like
100%.
I tell people all the time, like, laugh at yourself, and they're like, I don't get that. And it's like, well, I walk around wearing fucking Hawaiian shirts and a captain's hat. Like, I look like Captain Lou Albano. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty ridiculous. You know,
slickest motherfucker I know.
But it's like, you have to be able to laugh at yourself. If you're gonna take yourself that serious, and there are a lot of people in the tattoo industry that are very serious, and that's okay, I guess. But for my money, I'd rather, you know, talk to the guy who's smiling and laughing and doesn't have the ego the size of Jupiter about
right. If I wanted to be stuffy and all that shit, I just went and got a cubicle job. I didn't want to work for a living, so
yeah, I
chose to sit on my ass and draw pretty pictures on people, you know.
And then now you own the shop.
I do.
And
that's where the last shop, American Traditional, I worked for a buddy of mine who was a piercer.
Right. And that's where we met. You were working there.
Yeah. And
you and what was that kid's name that moved to England? Phil. Felonious Phil McFly. And to even think, I was thinking about back then how, like, I would just come out and fucking hang out all the time. Right?
All the time.
But you weren't really ever fucking tattooing that much. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't, like, it was a totally different, again, one tattoo a day, you know what I mean, that was decent size was worth.
Yeah, you can make your check on it.
You can make your check on it, you know? And you were growing something. But then, like, now, like I told you, I hadn't been here in so long, I added a whole other section of the shop here, and I hadn't even
seen it.
But it's because if I come out here, I can't just hang out with you anymore.
Yeah.
Because you have, how many artists do you have working for you or with you? I guess is
I have
more appropriate. We got 1, 2, 3,
six tattoo artists, and 2 piercers.
Wow.
So, and that's the thing, you know, back then I was also working for the other guy, and here, you know, I only had to worry about me. Oh, Tyler's coming out. I'm going to book 1 appointment, and
yeah.
Well, back then we'd go to the bar or
go to the bar,
you know,
do art, spray paint,
yep.
and airbrush. I think that's where I first started airbrushing at, was in the basement of that damn.
Yep.
I bought all that airbrush shit and brought it over, and you and I started dicking with it in the basement.
Yep. Damn.
Skateboarding in the parking lot.
All of it.
Getting Trey to do the dumbest shit ever. And now Harold's son, who was just a tiny kid when we first met, is apprentice and now a tattoo artist working here at the shop.
Yeah. Gave me a beautiful grandbaby, grandboy.
Oh, yeah, you're fucking grandpa status now.
3 in May. And he's so pretty. I know everybody says, you know, their grandkids are pretty, boy, but he is pretty.
Well, somebody said that about you one day, and we're still questioning them.
Yeah. Well, that person was blind.
Well, yeah. Your mom said, "Oh, this old ugly son of a gun."
Yeah.
Was cars always in the mix as a kid for you?
Always.
And bikes? Like, did you always just grew up around
my dad was born in San Francisco, raised in Pacifica, which is a suburb of San Francisco.
Okay.
So all the stuff that we're into, chop tops and shaved handles and things like that, they were doing that in high school for a grade.
Right.
You know, he grew up chopping up Model A's, but it wasn't a style.
Right.
You know, everything they're doing now, they did that shit, but it wasn't a style.
It was just a
shave
thing.
weight.
Yeah.
Just basically just trim the fat and
well,
go
to make
faster.
it look cool too,
Absolutely.
but like also it didn't have to be. It's like remember when there used to be like 4 sections at the record store?
Yeah.
And now there's like 50. Everybody has to break everything down to some subculture.
Right. 100%.
What was the first, was the Biscayne you had when we met? Was that like the first time you were probably like serious about taking care of your car and like modifying it?
No, I always had cars and shit. My sophomore year in high school, I drove a 1946 International.
Okay.
My dad had bought it from the auction, sent it to California to sell. It never sold, and I actually traded 2 64 Impalas and an 85 Chevy Celebrity for the International. But there again, you know, I was in high school. I wasn't making no money, so I wasn't doing nothing fancy with my cars. It was, you know, it's definitely once I, you know, got around you and some of the folks that, you know, we run around with, that it was.
Well, yeah, we were both, Harold, I was already in the Punk Rods car club here in town, and then Harold started hanging around and then quickly became a member of the club as well.
Yep.
Neither one of us is members anymore. I was tossed out a long time ago during my haze of criminality and drug use.
Is that what we're calling it?
I guess we could call it a haze. I went through a phase.
Yeah.
My felony phase.
Yeah, no, that's where I met you and Eric and Dave and
a lot of people.
Dude, a lot of them. Some that are gone. Todd Carnahan, you know, rest his soul.
Yeah.
John Wiggins, you know, rest his soul too, you know.
Yeah.
So this quickly became my circle of influence. Loved it because I was already about it, you know. My dad was into that shit, into cars and motorcycles, always.
Right.
Always.
You were looking for your scene. You just hadn't found it yet in town here.
Yeah, it found me.
And I mean, I guess we're really only talking about that you lived here 6 years.
Yeah.
Or no. Yes, so that'd be about 6 years before we met. So you hadn't been in town very long, really. I mean, that's not a long... 6 years isn't a long time.
No.
Not now when this guy's like the fucking mayor of Belton, Missouri. You can't walk in down the street without somebody yelling out the window or...
Yeah.
Don't dare go into public with him out here.
Be stuck for 20 minutes.
I guess the same thing happens with me in my neighborhood.
Absolutely, but that's what I love. I like being a charismatic person. I like being surrounded by charismatic people. I like different things, you know. I'm called Weird Harold because I'm a little weird.
Yeah, well, that's a little. It might be a lot. I mean, I've always... you're one of a few people that, no matter what, I know that you'll, like, if I'm doing something fucked up, you're going to be like, hey, dog. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
Like, not be like, you're fucking wrong, but just be like, maybe this isn't the right way to go about this.
And
you know
I
what
think
mean?
that that's a beautiful thing, too.
Right, no, I do, too.
That road goes both ways, man.
Right.
If I haven't been called an idiot by you a couple of times, and by God, you were right, you know.
Yeah, I think everybody's be calling me an idiot for getting this done. It doesn't hurt too bad with this fucking... I guess
terrible.
real quick, I do know that's like a major thing. You switched up on your tattoo gun game recently.
Ah, new machine, yeah. You even vape?
What is well, and also, like, I've never been one to scoff at the pain of a tattoo once we get into it. What's the deal with these things?
Man, well, you know, in the tattoo world, there's this big thing about loyal to coil. I'm loyal to coil. And I'm one of those, man. I've been tattooing 22 years. Cut my teeth on coil machines. Used coil machines up till not too long ago. And I had a big moral battle with it for a minute because... you know, this whole loyal to coil that's beat into my head. And then one day I'm sitting around and I thought about it. And I'm like, man, I wonder if when air tools came out, if there was a mechanic out there that was going, loyal to ratchet, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not using that air stuff. Well, and after I think about that, I'm like, no, they didn't. They bought an air hose and got air tools and made their life easier.
Well, we have the same thing going on now where they're making everything electric, and people are hesitant to use some of that stuff that's electric. As to where I'm like, I don't know.
Like battery powered?
Yeah, like
100%.
cordless electric, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I got all that shit. My mechanic.
Well, there's this belt sanding tool that I use all the time, and they showed me today that they're coming out with one. Milwaukee came out with a belt sander.
Oh, really?
A handheld electric belt sander, and it's like, oh shit.
That's neat.
Really neat.
Dude, I seen a cordless DA.
Oh yeah, they've had those for a while.
Dope,
awesome.
Dude, I got to use that. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Now, I know that you told me the best thing about this was that as far as going out of town, you could now throw this shit in a backpack and roll to a convention.
Super easy to
with
pack.
Like next to nothing.
My ultimate plan is to show up to a convention with a fanny pack.
Yeah.
Fanny pack full of tattoo gear. I'm here to tattoo. So, and it's been great. It's a convenience factor, you know. It's just super convenient to use. Every bit of it's disposable. Quiet, no cord. I can walk over there and tattoo, you know. So, I love it. I hate that I love it, but I love it. If that
well, I mean, those
sense.
same people that are saying loyal to coil are the same people who are like, we don't need to use social media.
Yeah.
And like now, you know what I mean? Like if you don't have that in the tattoo game, it's almost...
It's true. I have that argument with my wife all the time, you know. She's on me about social media presence, and then I just get so overwhelmed and frustrated with it because I'm a technology dummy. I mean, really, I can't even... haven't even begun to tap into my cell phone, you know.
Right.
But and it's the truth. She's absolutely right. But I always have that argument with her, like, babe, I didn't sign up for this. I signed up to tattoo, and now it's like you have to be a social media personality to some extent to stay relevant.
Well, also in your case, I think it's just you being your personality, but showing that on the internet. You know what I mean? Is all it is.
Sure.
And that's what I think freaks a lot of people out. Is like, hey, just keep it real.
Right.
Like, don't do the thing where people make their lives seem much different than what it actually is. Just show the real shit, and it will. It'll just be a representation of who you are as a person. You know.
100%. 100%. And then I learn a lot of that shit from, you know, friends who are into social media. You who is staying active on YouTube and creating content and then just seeing what that does. And I get it. It makes sense. And really, once I get out of my feelings about it, it's a great tool. It's a great tool.
It's like a weird thing where it's like, yo, it's like when people, if you're having an argument and like, not long ago, so I was in a situation and somebody started giving statistics and I just pulled my phone out and I said, hey, I don't think you're right about that. And their response was, how dare you pull your phone out? And I thought, in my head, I'm thinking, well, this is a highly advanced computer that in the palm of my hand, I hold the answer to all the world's known knowledge.
And I'm paying for it.
And I don't understand what's wrong about that. Like, couldn't we? And then it garners the thing of like when people just want to be right. Like no one wants to be wrong, right? Like, but what is right and what is wrong? Who knows? I don't know.
I'll have to Google it.
Yeah. You won't find the answer.
Right. Yep, I'd have to Google it.
I think it's like a weird thing when. I think that might be a part of it. Is like we're so similar in that way that we could give a shit less about being right about anything and more about just being who we are, you know? Yeah. And I wish more people were like that.
Stay true to thine self, you know? Read them.
Stay true to thine fucking armpit ditch elbow ditch when we're going to work on Tuesday morning.
Right.
It's a Monday night. The shop's closed. That's why we're doing this on Monday night. I mean, you have 2 motorcycles, 2 choppers, both done Midwestern style, I would say, because they have rear suspension, but they're stretched in the front, de-raked with a long front end.
Yeah, a lot of people like to call them a St. Louis D-rake, but I don't know nothing about St. Louis. Mine's a Kansas City high and tight.
Yeah.
Built to jam through traffic.
And you do ride the shit out of it. Like, well, you semi-taught me how to ride. You definitely taught me, like, all of the respect part of riding. And, like, what to do and what not to do. Back when I had that Ironhead chopper and we would just...
You remember the first time I came out to your house on that Kawasaki?
Yeah.
Tyler asked me, he said, man, you gotta let me ride that thing. I'm like, cool, go ride it. And he walks over there and jumps on my it was hard-tailed out, kind of a radical looking road warrior looking Kawasaki 750. And I'm like, yeah, go for it, ride it. And he jumps on it and starts taking off and he's riding around the backyard. And I was like, Tyler, what are you doing? He's like, I'm riding it. I'm like, no, get out on the road and ride it, bro.
I didn't want any business with that.
And he did. He jumped out on the road and took off. Came back about a half hour later. Like, didn't get me gas or nothing.
No.
But he did give me a cool wallet that day.
Yeah.
So.
And it wasn't long after that I got the Ironhead because I hustled that trade with Davey Gant. That's how I met Davey Gant.
Yep.
That's how I became friends with Davey. Still friends now.
Yep. He's a tattooer here in Kansas City. A great little tattooer.
Yep, down at
Very
Graham.
strong, traditionally based. Hell of an artist.
He is.
Hell of an artist. 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 Hell of an
Harold hated it when we first met because every tattoo I wanted was like the opposite of what he would want to do if he was doing a homie tattoo.
Yeah. And man, the craziest part is anybody else in this world, I'd talk them out of it, but not
And
you.
everybody is like, "Oh, you got tattoos by Harold," and they're looking around going, "Well, which one is it?" Like all of them.
Yeah, all of them except for the one Shay's done.
Yeah. And then Shay really doesn't tattoo anymore. We had this discussion about how all these people want to tattoo me all the time that I meet that are younger, and then I just kind of laugh because it's like Harold and I have like never really exchanged commerce.
Never.
We've always just sort of
scratched each other's backs.
Yeah, and it's now to a point where it's like I don't know who's ahead or who's behind, but if somebody wants something done, we just kind of do it.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, I'd hate to figure out who owed each other. We'd find out we both owe each other.
Yeah, we probably both still owe. We both owe Jack.
Yeah. Man, Tyler, I think that's a tattoo.
That is a tattoo. That wasn't too bad.
Not too
I
bad.
should have made you do more filler work on my arm still.
Well, we still got time.
We do. Go ahead. Freehand that shit. I don't care. And also right now you have the truck.
Yep, 63 C10, long bed.
Out of our way. And it's airbagged on the back.
Yep, just the back. Drives the mini truckers crazy.
And you've got you just put a big block in it.
Just put a 454 big block, a 700 R4 automatic transmission. Did all new drivetrain, A-arms, ball joints, all that interior. Last thing I got left's the rear end.
Yeah.
And you know, everybody asks if I'm gonna drag race it and all that, and I'm not. I put a big block in it because I want to travel.
Well, it's on airbags. Why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you?
Well, I do drag it.
Right. Yeah.
I just drag the ass
yeah.
end, you know.
I know we've been talking about doing that patina clear coat on it to preserve it because it does have a cool. It has a cool finish where you painted those flames so many years ago.
Yeah, and I've always been a lipstick guy. I've always been, as far as like, you know, vehicles, motorcycles. Always kind of been into the cosmetic side.
Yeah. That being said, the only thing you have that's painted super nice is the gas tank on your one motorcycle.
Yeah, dude. Well, and that's the thing, because so much I want to push for the lipstick.
Yeah.
I force myself to make it reliable and running good, and you know, I want to go to Texas in it and not have to worry about breaking down, or you know, there's nothing worse than going on a run with somebody with a scabby pile of shit and you're stuck on the side of the road with them.
Right.
You know.
Oh, for sure. We've all been there.
Yeah, and I just don't want to be that guy. If I can put my vehicle in a position to where it's solid and I don't have to be the one to worry about, and I can be comfortable.
Well, and if you, I mean, you have the means to be able to put the money into the truck now.
Absolutely.
Slowly but surely,
it's
you know.
taking time, you know. But yeah, it's definitely, that's my four-wheel love right there, is that truck.
Right. No, it's bitchin'. It's a bitchin' truck. It runs great now. What about? So like, I know you're like a big style. Like, as far as tattooing goes, I've always thought it was weird when people are like, I only do this, because you, again, though you're pretty well known for like your skull work and heavy on your black and gray,
Yep.
and you've done a lot of portrait stuff. But you'll also like, it's like this mind-bending thing where you can do anything.
And that comes from, you know, as long as I've been tattooing, you know, anybody who's tattooing 20 plus years will tell you, man, back then there wasn't styles.
Right.
You know, they call it tradition. I want a traditional style tattoo. It's like you were saying about breaking it down to so many subgenres. You know, we were just tattooers.
Right.
You know, nobody even knew anything about tattoo styles. They come in, I want a tattoo. I want a butterfly.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do a butterfly.
Yeah, like, but now, like, why doesn't he, like, it's like this is like the one style of tattoo work where like this like 90s shit where people are like, yeah, I don't want any of that. Like,
I'm down.
Yeah, and like, yeah, you know me. Chrome it, baby.
Yeah.
Like I always told you, like, yeah. Like when I got those paint guns, and that guy was like, I'm not making that chrome, and now it just looks like clip art on my arm. You know what I mean?
Art,
and it's like, no, man, make it chrome. Like next time, I'm gonna be like, no, chrome these, chrome that chain, baby.
Shine this pig up.
Shine it up, dog. I don't need that. I'm not trying to have just black on my arm.
See, and that's the thing about it is I've always stuck to my guns that you shouldn't be, if you're a tattooer, you're a tattooer. You shouldn't be a this kind of tattooer, that kind of tattooer. The young kids ask me all the time, what kind of style tattooer are you? I'm like, well, I don't know. I kind of dress funny and, you know, my bike's got some style. I guess that's the kind of style tattooer I am, you know. Whatever you want's what I do.
Right.
You know?
And, I mean, do you think that that's an important trait for, like, if there's someone out there watching this that's a younger tattoo artist or looking to get into tattooing, how important, as a shop owner now, and having been into this through so many changes, and not just this industry, but, again, with the social media and all these different things, how important is it to be very diversified in your work?
My opinion is very important. Now the tattoo world's opinion may differ,
right?
You know, but I believe the guy who does it all is the guy who's making all the money. I'm also not stumped up by people. I don't have to turn people away. I don't have to say, well, I don't really do that, so go talk to Jim Bob or.
Well, and like people that work for you, like Zach and Abby, they have this style of their own as well. But again, they can do whatever. Now they've been lucky to get a strong clientele that they've built, just like you have, I think too. You've built a strong clientele of people who want your black and gray, and they want your art. I will say, not your style, but they want your steez. They want what you do the best. And same thing with them. Like Zach does. I mean, the way him and Abby both have taken their like pop culture stuff and incorporated it into tattooing, and then on top of that, having their own style of art, and it's just like, whoa, that's wild.
Right. And, you know, both those artists you spoke of apprenticed in this shop. You know, so they were raised, same with my son, they've all been raised with that mindset that don't pigeonhole yourself, you know, do everything. And they do it all. And they definitely have their little style and niche, and the people who come to them specifically for that.
Right.
But they can do that.
But when somebody walks in the door that wants, like, hey, I want that thing, they can do it.
Take a walk in and slam
But that being said, every time I'm in here, there's one guy who's never not tattooing. And that's Old Man Owl.
Yeah.
The OG. Forever. Just always. And like, what's Alan's style? I don't fucking know.
He's a tattooer.
But Alan always has somebody getting tattooed. Right. And I don't know how many times I've heard somebody talking to somebody and then being like, yeah, I don't know. And Alan be like, yeah, I'll just do that for you real quick.
Yeah.
Whip that out. And I've heard you do the same thing.
Absolutely.
On like walk-in day where you're like, oh, you guys don't want to do this? It's a rose with a barbed wire. Like, what's the problem? You know what I mean? Like, it's easy shit.
Yeah, easy shit.
You need this light back on? Probably.
Yep. Hit that button right there. On the side. Straight on the side. It's coming.
That's what she said. Well, that's what I told her.
That's right. I love that. I love that this cat blasts right over that, man.
Yeah, and that was the first tattoo I got right there, Harold. This horseshoe with the lucky number. And that, again, super, like, late 90s style, right? I was in high school and got that done at a shop. what's that guy's name? He owns Aftershock.
Big Mike.
Big Mike. So Big
Good
Mike
friend
did.
of mine. Love Big Mike.
Big
Shout
Mike,
out Big Mike.
Big Mike did my like greaser skull and the
Yep.
pistons up here.
It all makes sense why it looks like it does.
Right,
So,
and then this got done by a chick that worked at his shop. But that's like the worst tattoo I've.
You got?
Well, I'm saying as far as like holding, like my skin's always held the ink really well, but like it wasn't. She was like new to tattooing way back then. You know what I mean? It
Sure.
just didn't last very long. My sister took me there. It was a whole like I didn't know. You know what I mean? I was an 18-year-old greaser kid like looking to get the most rockabilly tattoo I could think of.
And who's kidding who? At that age, we never gave a
didn't
fuck
care.
how cool it looked. I
No.
got tattooed.
Yeah. Oh, I was the coolest fucking dude the next day it's in high school.
Yeah.
The following Monday, I was a bad motherfucker.
Don't mess with Tyler. He's got a tattoo.
Yeah. It was me and this other kid, Rodney Schweitzer. Shout out to Rodney. Rodney owns a garage down in Edwardsville, Kansas. But Rodney got this, like, it was like this badass, like, again, same style of art.
Yeah.
But it was like a horse. It was like a Ford tattoo, you know what I mean? It was like a fucking Mustang. It was cool with like fire and shit. Like, but just like the head, you know what I mean? If I remember correctly. It said something. I don't remember what it said, but it was like he was a Ford guy, so I'm pretty sure it was like a Ford tattoo. It was like a horsepower thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like some dumb redneck joke, but it was
That's
hilarious.
awesome.
It was awesome.
I love that stuff, man.
And then, dude, like I got that flying eye when I was working. That was before I went to body shop school. But really, like after I met you, and then my buddy Brandon Dahl, he did this piece and this piece when he was apprenticing. And this was like, we literally just went to the Flash and it was like, okay, let's take this one with that one and then put these wings on it.
Love it.
Because I wanted a fucking Tiger Army tattoo. That's how.
Okay.
And he talked me out of it, which was definitely don't get tattoos of bands. Bad idea.
or apparel.
Or apparel, yeah.
I feel sorry for all those people out there. You know I'm talking about, the ones with that famous Stars and Straps F in front of your family.
Or a Nike swoosh.
Yeah.
The Stars and Straps.
Well, hell, at least Nike stuck around.
Yeah.
I always said that in high school, you know. I was like, what if my sister would have got Pepe jeans? You know what I mean? Pepe, it's the best.
Yeah.
You know, Jordache.
Yeah, Jordache.
It's Jordache.
Was that your ex-boyfriend? That's what some kid would ask you now.
You're right.
Jordache,
right.
was that your ex or something?
Yes, but whatever.
But whatever. Fuck, so many bad tattoos got done back then.
I like the bad ones.
No,
man.
yeah,
like
no,
the good
I
ones.
won't give, like, I have that devil head on my leg from when I was in
Yeah.
college. I'm not going to cover that thing up.
Well, and that's the thing, man.
Even like that one. My sister did that one. You know what I
love
mean?
it.
You can kind of tell what it,
I'm
if
at
you
that-
know, you know.
I'm at that state in my career where, you know, you can put a bunch of bells and whistles in front of me, and the shit that I dig is just a good, clean tattoo. Line, fill, shade,
Yeah.
man. You give a good, clean tattoo, and I'll love that over any bells and whistles any day of the week. You know, you know, when they're built to last, when they're big enough that when I return into that wrinkly old man, it doesn't look like shit. I mean, they all get fuzzy and green, but at least all your stuff you're gonna be able to tell what
Right.
it is.
What would you tell somebody out there that was thinking about getting into tattooing?
Don't. So many of you.
Yeah.
That's
Like
tough.
what? How much do you have to love it really to do it? I think
nowadays
that's a big,
I don't even think you do.
really.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's become such a
it's
commerce
so
thing that it's
different. Well, I mean, anymore it seems like it's the new thing to be cool.
right.
Like, I'll get my fame off being a tattooer, which was always odd to me because we were the ones in the green room smoking pot, tattooing on the band before they went out on stage. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? We
Yeah.
weren't the ones out front on a microphone. We weren't the ones that were famous or, you know, showy or shit like that. You know, I see a lot of these young tattooers now, you know, they got the best shoes and they're walking in with Gucci backpacks to conventions, you know?
Yeah.
And here I am over here still in my fucking Dickies and a t-shirt, you know, and could
Right.
care less. Just because I think I'm here to make people look cool, not myself, you know?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a different time. And now I feel like I sound like that old crabby
you definitely
bastard.
sound like that old crabby
Yeah.
bastard. I was like,
these kids and this Mickey Mouse bullshit.
I was like, oh man, Harold's about to say something real insightful about how you love art. No, fuck you, don't get into this trade. Now, would you say that your generation of artists probably looks at it more like a trade than the people that do it now?
Man, they call this an industry. It was never an industry to me. It has become an industry because now you can freaking, you know, everybody's making the equipment. And, you know, everybody's figuring, even
It's
people
like become a giant machine,
yeah,
right?
dude, even people who aren't into tattooing are figuring out their way to leech onto it, you know? You got these people who have nothing to do with tattooing, but they're putting on a tattoo convention. And, you know, power to them, man.
Yeah, make your money.
Dude, I'm not mad at nobody, but it's definitely not the world that I joined. It was, when I started tattooing, it was still a little scary to walk into the tattoo shop, you know?
Yeah, no, it was like pretty terrifying when I had Big Mike tattoo me. Because that guy's, not only is he gigantic, but he had like his hands and his face tattooed at the time. He had like bear paws on his hands.
No,
what's he got on his fucking hands?
It's the you put your fists together and it makes a whole monster face and the teeth are out.
Oh, that's right.
Paul Booth.
Right. I think he had just got that done.
There's a famous picture
of his
that.
hands, yeah.
There's a famous picture of that where he's got his hands out and it's got that monster.
That is what it is.
But there's also another famous picture where he's holding his baby.
Yes.
With those hands.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Booth did those. And they're still fucking rocking.
Dude, when I was in high school, I worked for Pipeline Productions out in Lawrence.
Yeah.
And I was a stagehand. It was with my sister's first husband. My nephew's dad was the guy. And I guess my sister and him, no, they got fucking married for sure. And like straight up redneck style, dude. In Grandma and Grandpa's backyard.
Awesome.
Had a full-blown wedding.
Fuck yeah.
Right in parallel on KCK.
Tap the keg, the wedding's over.
No, we went to Lawrence after that's where the real reception happened, was in Lawrence that night. But I fucking worked Tattoo the Earth tour that first year it came through.
Yeah.
And all those guys were there. And that was a wild place. That was like Slipknot just had come out. And like I wasn't into any of that shit, right? I was like had green hair, spiked out.
You
like,
showed up and you're like, I don't know.
I showed up in a combat boots.
It was 102 degrees and these crazy fuckers are out there with coveralls.
Oh yeah, for
each
sure.
Other up.
There's all these kids from my high school that were like, you know, into like new metal and shit. All the new metal kids were there, and they were like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "What are you doing here?" It's like, well, "I'm fucking working, man. I'm just picking up trash with this guy." I'll never forget Jeff Fortier, man. Somebody hit me with something. Some shithead kid I went to school with threw something at us when we were running on the driving in a golf cart.
Yeah.
And Jeff was like 4'9". He's not very tall. He's like 5'2" or something. And he had these dreadlocks down to his ankles, like Nick Rodriguez, right?
Right.
He just slammed the brakes on, got off, and proceeded to beat the shit out of this whole group of people. And so ever since then, like, anytime I hear somebody talk bad about that guy, I'm like, nah, man, that Jeff's all right with me, dude. Like,
yeah. That's great.
Talk about learning a lot. I learned a whole lot working shows in high school for a summer. Like, in between, like right before my senior year of high school, I worked as a stagehand.
So are you out there?
The Bottleneck, the Granada. We'd go to Iowa, Topeka, Kansas City. Dude, that'd have been like 2000.
Man, you probably met my wife.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We figured out that Shay had met my wife. She was a bartender in Lawrence, and then worked a gas station right out at the edge of town on 10. Like if you're heading back to Kansas City, and man, we've ran into so many people that she's like, I think I know them, and you get to talking, like Shay, got to talk to him, and hell, he was playing in a band and always in Lawrence, and they're trying to figure out where they knew, and she talked about the gas station. He's like, yeah, I hit that gas station every time we pulled out of there.
Right.
And you stop and get your drink and pack of papers or whatever you do. And
well, yeah, dude, I was at every bar in Lawrence where there were shows, like decent sized shows.
Yeah.
I was there. But I used to that's why I was getting drink. I was able to drink underage when I was in high school and shit at bars. You know what I mean? But it was a wild experience. Learned a whole lot.
Yeah.
Learned a whole fucking lot. What do you find it hard to get inspiration artistically these days since you've been doing this so long, or do you just look for new things? I know you were stoked on this design that you had found.
Yeah.
And is that just how it is now? Like you find new things?
It's just it depends. My inspiration comes from my guys now.
Yeah.
That's why I tattoo in a big room and don't split everybody up. I believe all of us in one place just feed off of each other. I've got some really great friends, in the tattoo world that I do a lot of conventions with, and they come to my shop and I go to theirs, and it's to feed off new stuff, doing conventions, meeting people, putting yourself out there. We're so much alike in the fact that I'm a social butterfly.
Right.
Excuse me, social butterfly. I like personal interactions, man. I like to go amongst the crowd at a convention as opposed to making a video on Instagram. You know what I mean?
For sure. And also, I think where you didn't used to do a lot of conventions, and now you're doing a lot, which is awesome. And but more so, you're doing a lot that are out of town. And I know Verona that works for you, Brianna, she's at a thing almost. It seems like.
Well, she works for Villain Arts Tattoo Convention. Great convention. Look it up. It's probably coming to a city near you. She does Sideshow, a burlesque show, and then she also does Suspension.
Right.
We're putting the hooks in your back.
Yeah. But it seems like she's like every weekend she's able. It's getting her to travel to
25 shows this year just for that convention alone.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah. And she's a killer.
Yeah. And she's still here.
Yes.
Piercing during the week.
In betweens.
In betweens.
That's why I have two piercers.
Right.
Billiam was trained to basically fill in for her when she's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's gone. She's gone a lot.
That's awesome, though.
It's great.
Yeah,
so great.
Yeah. Because it it literally just is more exposure for the shop as a whole,
Absolutely.
Number one. What's the plan with the shop now? Just keep on. I know you're kind of limited now to where you yourself for a while have just done one tattoo in the morning and one tattoo in the afternoon every day.
And that's how I operate. I set 2 appointments a day, and then the spaces in between, if there's walk-ins, I'll take them.
Right. Yeah, like if somebody comes in, it's like,
Absolutely.
Hey, I need this thing. Like,
yeah.
Also, people will see like it's like you can kind of see. I'll try to zoom in and post, but like Harold is not one reason Harold ruined tattooing for everyone else that wants to tattoo me, because he used to be super brutal back in the day when we were still party animals. and he would be here just jacking his jaw and grinding you up. Or
Let's
back
get this
in the
done
day.
and go to the bar.
Yeah, but now he's still just as fast. Only he doesn't like. It's not meat grinder, but also you're so fast that it doesn't have time. Like when I got my Nate, I love you, Nate Greco. I fucking love you, Nate. I love your art. I love my tattoo I got from you.
Look up Nate Greco.
Right, but
he's a badass.
fuck, dude. After the after the 4th hour of sitting there as he's doing the photorealistic van on my leg, you're just going, God, I don't know if it's the new part that hurts or is it just that we keep having to go over the whole thing. But that's the only way you get
a Nate Greco.
That tattoo,
Absolutely.
right? You know what I mean?
Beautiful
Even
tattoo.
that style, like it has to be done like that.
Yeah.
But that's why I've always had, and I've sort of had my own weird, like I asked Harold for a winged motorcycle wheel, and I showed up and it was a vulture holding on. That's what that was supposed to be, and it's just like, yeah, okay, well we'll do that one. You know what I mean? It's always been like a weird deal.
That's the same with like your handlebars. You're like,
oh yeah,
you're like, dude, I want something chopper and
psychedelic, and I just seen that 13th Floor Elevators album. You're like, okay, because at first you looked at me, you're like, yeah, I don't understand what you're telling me, guy. Like nobody ever does. I'm like, I need something psychedelic, and they're like, I don't understand what you mean. And then it's like I just started sending you. I think I sent you the cover of that record and was like, just listen to this. And look at this picture, and then you're like, oh, okay, I got you.
Got it. I got it. But you've always been good about explaining that shit.
And also it's like
not explaining.
There's never a time where I'm like, same thing with Shay.
Yeah.
When I told Shay I wanted a crucified biker on my back, I thought it was gonna look like the agnostic front crucified skinhead, but just like a biker. And then I show up and there's a giant chain and there's like 3 mounds with like parts. Like he put all this like subtext to this art that like most people don't even understand, and then there's a Grim Reaper at the top and it's like super detailed and it's just like, whoa. But Bud, fuck, dude, not prepared for really. I didn't really think out the fact that I asked for a tattoo that was literally, hey, just tattoo my whole spine.
Yeah.
Because it's still sitting there outlined. Now, Shay also fast. I think it was like 2 hours to outline the whole back because I just laid there and said, let's go. Yeah. And we were done. I was like outside shivering. He's like, are you okay? He's like, I think I have nerve damage.
You broke me.
Yeah. But I've never gotten that tattoo finished because I'm just like, fuck, I don't even.
Yeah.
The pain of that. And I know you hate getting tattooed.
Dude, I do not like getting tattooed. I like having them, but I do not like getting them. They hurt.
Like, I couldn't imagine right there on your face, dude. Like, the pain of that.
Face, head, armpits, necks.
Yeah.
What little bit of tattooing I'm getting done, I'm working on my torso, which ain't very much.
Yeah.
And,
you're like, Trey, like, the arm isn't, this wasn't bad. Yeah. The arms.
This is
When you like, especially for me, because I like beat the shit out of my arms every day at work, so they're like pretty rugged.
And your tattoos need to be built to last.
Yeah, and what I'm saying, like, also like my skin, like I'm used to. Getting hit in the arm, whatever.
Abrasions,
right? It cuts.
Wounds.
Yeah, but like think I was about to get that done, probably not. I need to hit the gym a little more before we do that, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. It never gonna happen. I'm not even getting tattooed ever again.
Yeah, that's what he said last time.
Oh, there she is right there.
There she is.
Good Lord, can I get one of those for above my bed? I love her, man. She's so great.
She's a good kid, man.
She's so great.
Doing a killer job, man. Working hard and making something of herself.
Oh, for sure.
All my guys work hard.
Yeah, everyone does. Even Trey, like to watch Trey go from like wanting to be a barber, not barely able to even produce a drawing of something, to where it was just like to watch him to where he is now. It's like, oh shit, he put something up the other day. I was like, hot damn, that don't look too bad.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks pretty cool.
Well, and the thing is, you know, with him growing up in the tattoo shop, you know, he took to it fast because everything was normal. You know,
Right.
when he hears something coming from somebody, he's like, well, I've been hearing that my whole life.
Right.
I just need to apply it.
Right.
And you know, so he's taking it to it real well, doing awesome. I also told him the only way that he could learn to tattoo is if whenever tattooing provides it for him, he has to go back and take his barber course, become
For
a
sure.
barber, because
That's his real.
that's his true love.
Yeah.
But then again, you know, when he sits down here and, you know, takes an hour and makes his money, pretty soon he's like, man, I'd have to cut like 4 or 5 heads of hair to
Right,
do that.
but also
So,
your love could change. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
absolutely. No, he's definitely full bore in it, you know.
I
You
mean,
just tell.
this was my first choice of what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to film school, and my grandma laughed at me. Laughed right in my face and said, "You'll never make $1 doing that." And I went, and then the only other thing I liked was cars. So I said, "Well, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go learn how to build
Yeah.
hot rods." And I started working with Scott and Tim and learning. And then eventually Scott was like, "Hey, I think you ought to go to this school. We get you this school, we'll bypass 8 years of shit wages in a body shop, and you'll know what's up."
Yeah.
So I went to that school and came back, and again got told the same thing by my grandmother. Laughed in my face. "You'll never make $1 building no custom car for nobody." And then now I literally make more money than I've ever made in my life
Customizing it.
working on custom cars. Like, it's wild.
And motorcycles.
And motorcycles and
you name it. I mean, you just painted that bitchin' chair.
yeah.
A damn living room chair.
Yeah. I'm not afraid to do. I have this mindset of that I can do anything. And like even you offered like a few years ago, I had some back troubles and other issues going on, and you were like, "Hey, just come down here and I'm going to teach you how to tattoo." And it was like, yeah, I don't know, because that isn't what I love. You know what I mean? Like,
that would literally
there's a part. It would be a job to me.
Yeah.
This would be a job.
100%.
100%. It's to where now it's like even doing that chair. Like I just and right now I've been doing a lot of stuff for some friends, to where it's just like, hey man, like I would rather focus on having my friends ride around on cool shit than worry about making $1.
Yeah.
And I'd rather focus on doing this video stuff than make like. This guy thought I was crazy because he's like, "You just do all this video stuff yourself," and it's like, well, yeah. It's like this week alone. It's like, okay, well, I did an interview Friday. You know, here it is Monday. I went to work early, got off, shot down here, set all this up, did this with you. Then tomorrow night I'm filming while we put Jerry's bike frame back together.
And can't wait
to do it.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday night we're taking it up to Jesse McCollum so he can TIG weld the frame up for us on the live stream. And then come Friday I'll have another interview to do with someone. And it's like people like are always dude, if I don't stay busy, then we know it'll happen. These are the devil's hands, dude, and they'll start doing. I'll sync right.
Masturbation will send you to
it's
the underworld.
Right. It ain't the masturbation that's the problem. It's the criminal action. But, dude, when I learned how to hustle, all I've done is taken what I learned from selling drugs and being in the streets, and I just apply those principles to the things I'm doing.
Same thing I'm doing here.
Don't rip anybody off. You don't have to make $1 million. You don't have to have the highest profit margin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to treat people good.
You don't. This is what I always say, and this is what I tell my guys. Never worry about getting rich on one tattoo, because we never will.
Right.
The tattoo that you get rich on is the one that people bring their friends and family back.
Right.
The one that gets seen in the gas station and somebody's like, man, that's awesome. Where'd you get it?
Where'd you get that at?
That's the money that will make you rich.
Right.
Right there. And the only way you can do that is by doing a good job.
Right.
Treating people right.
For sure.
Caring about what you're doing.
For sure.
100%.
For sure. And even like the bike stuff, this is a whole different game because trying to paint these motorcycles, it's gotten now to where it's like the materials are like, it's like right on the cusp of getting everybody's going to start doing this shit, and then now it's like the materials skyrocket in the last 2 years, and it's like, shit, man, it's just getting more and more expensive.
All the way around for
which is why, like, no different than I've done with you, right? Like, I was at this crossroads recently where I started noticing, like, there was more people that were my age when I met Eric, because you and I are pretty close in age.
Yeah.
When I met Eric, I'm pretty close to the same age Eric was. He was just a little older than I am right now. But I've noticing like that there's all these cats that are like in their 20s and shit that are like they're starting to like not just come around and be interested, which is fucking awesome to me because I want people to be interested in the cars and the bikes and to do shit. So I've like had to kind of be like, okay, well, if I want these people to be into this shit, then I need to not make them customers and make them friends.
Yeah.
And like show them like, hey, like there's this one kid who's a little wild and like he's too much like I used to be. And I fucking love him. But he's like, I'm trying to get him like right under here. Cause he's like already like all the other old guys my age are like, that fucking guy. I'm like, dude, trust me, this kid is good. Like
give him 20 years.
Give him
man.
20 years. Well,
him.
I'm trying to supersede this. I'm trying to teach him like, hey, don't do what I did. You know what I mean? But there's like even Jerry with his bike. Like we got into that whole situation and Jerry got taken for a ride and got a bunch of bad work done. And it's been turned into like, hey, it's only because I have a personal beef with this person that I don't even have. I don't have a beef. Like this person could be the last. This person is, and you know, that person is the last thought in my mind. And it's a person that I quit engaging with because of this, the exact opposite of what you just described of how you do people and handle business is exactly the way that guy does business. And it turned into a whole situation. I feel so bad for Jerry to where it's like, well, I don't have no choice. Like, you can't send your buddy out there on anyone out there on something unsafe. No. And it could have came from Hellraisers. It could have came from Deadeye. That motorcycle could have got done the exact same way from anybody else, Bear even. And I would be doing the same thing, saying, what the hell, man? Like, it's not cool. And I hate seeing that happen to people, even now, like, even more so now. Because it's, I guess I became a part of my industry where it's like, I feel like not only does that affect these people, but it turns people off from going to shops and getting work done.
It definitely, it's the same with tattooing, man.
Right.
I mean, the thing is a bad mark with somebody in tattooing, you're either going to get the blanket people who are going, tattoos are bad, or, you know, if you've got one weak link in a shop, they're not going, hey, that guy messed me up. They're going, no, hey, this shop will mess you up.
This shop is a shithole.
Blanket, yeah. It's a. They never are naming people specifically.
Right. It's always the shop.
It's the group. If the New York Yankees second up to bat loses the fucking game, he didn't lose the game. The New York Yankees lost the game.
Right.
And then that's one of the things that I'm big about is staying real close with my artists and feeding them those concepts and giving them the knowledge and the tools to be able to produce great work that's going to make us all shine.
Right.
You know? Make us all shine.
Right. Well, and also like you're able to show them all, like, and anyone out there, like, Harold, again, to reiterate, Harold came from a methamphetamine-fueled, heroin junkie-fueled tiny town in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, fucked up on drugs, decided he wanted a tattoo, and got the fuck out of there. And with hard work, in a matter of 10 years? How many years did it take before you took the shop over?
I was
6.
No, I was further
Well, I was
into
thinking
it than
6.
that.
I was thinking 6 is when we.
2011 is whenever I opened the shop. Whenever I bought the shop and got it, you know. But
so you're talking 11 years of hard work and dedication to where that was your life, man. Like there was no, hey, come on out. And like no, even when you worked for the other guy,
I was in a big pile when I decided to really get right with the world and, you know, get on board with what someone who wants something in life to do. So before I owned the shop, there was years of me digging out of back taxes, you know, trying to duck the man and, you know, just
all the normal shit that happens when you're fucked up.
So I had to dig out of that before I even got in a position to own the shop.
Right.
And then it all started again.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, I'm taking on the responsibility of a business, and now I've got to
learn all this stuff.
All these assholes to worry about, not just me anymore.
Just you,
And so that was a learning curve, and I haven't stopped learning. I mean,
no, you can't if you stop learning.
Whenever I started tattooing, I started my apprenticeship, and you know, rightfully in my mind, I haven't stopped. I always look at every tattoo and feel like it just could have been better, you know.
Right.
And it took time and wisdom to figure out that I'm always going to feel that way.
Right.
So stop.
Right. Same thing with paint jobs.
Stop.
They are.
If my customer's like, "Oh my God, I love it," then it's amazing to me because that's all that matters.
Yeah.
It will never be.
There's no such thing as perfect.
Boy, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, it's so hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way.
Jesus. All right. Well, tell everybody where they can find you, like what your social media is. What's your Instagram?
You can find me and my work on Instagram. I'm under The Weird Harold. My shop's Instagram is Weirdos Tattoo. You can go there to see my other artists' work as well.
Yeah, that'll link you up to all the other people in the shop. Yep. I only know Brianna's because I follow her. She posts more than anybody else, which is Verona Fink is the piercer, and then but go follow Harold. You'll get you'll see his trucks, his bikes. He's got the 2 choppers. He's always got something. He has
beautiful grandkid. My beautiful
you're gonna see a lot of
my gorgeous son.
Everything. The dog.
Yeah.
The baby. The wife.
Zeke. Rest in peace.
Yeah. R.I.P. Zeke.
Yeah.
Maniac.
Yeah, and other than that, man, I'm Tuesday through Saturday on average. I sit here from noon to 9 right here in good old Belton, 521 North Scott Avenue.
Yeah, and if you're out of town, if you're seeing this or whatever, Harold travels. Don't front because he does travel.
I'll be in Tulsa in March. I'll be in Fort Worth. Then April, July I'll be up in Iowa.
Be at Rumble Drags.
Be at the Rumble Drags. Rustoberfest.
Rustoberfest. You're heavy on that. Shout out, guy.
Yeah.
We know.
That's to
4th time.
That's to the Metal Flakes.
The Metal Flakes. Oh shit! All right, bud. Well, thanks, man. I'm glad we did this. I don't know if I'm still unsure about the whole idea of you only agreeing to do this if I let you tattoo me while we did it. But I'm sure I'll be thinking about that for the next 5 days. I'm going.
Right.
Fuck, my arm hurts.
As
I'm at work, like trying to block sand, like with my left hand that never works that
wearing
way.
flannels.
Yeah.
Keep the dust off it.
I just wear long sleeves. All right. Well, I love you, bud. I appreciate it.
I love you too, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you.